Okay, sure. Welcome to Talking Social Studies. You are listening to episode 34, Summer Balance, for
Hold
July
on,
8th.
hold up. My live button just came on after you started talking.
Oh, okay.
No,
Oh, yeah,
let's
mine's
try it
on.
again.
Okay.
Oh, wait.
Welcome. Oh, what?
Sorry, I'm reading this topic. Hangouts on Air is going away August 1st.
Oh,
Where does it say that?
It says it on my top right. Okay, well, that's a different problem.
well, but I mean, we've used the YouTube Live thing before. It's just whoever's hosting it has to be at an actual desktop. You can't do it from your phone.
No, I am. This is. I mean, that's how these are set up. This is set up through YouTube Live.
Because when I did it, we did it straight through YouTube. We never touched.
Right,
Google
but then
Hangouts.
it pops up in a Google Hangouts window.
Well, we might be able to use, like you used your WebEx, your school WebEx, and then I have Zoom, and I think you can pull the audio from Zoom
Yeah,
also.
you can record Zoom.
Yeah. Well, actually, it may be a good incentive because if we switch off, I'm sure we can find a podcast hosting site that we can actually just record them on. I was talking to SoundCloud about it a little bit at ISTE, but the guy, I don't know, he was not very helpful.
Yeah, and I think
it sounded like it does a lot of similar things now.
Yeah, and it's SoundCloud. I was thinking of Soundtrap. My bad.
Yeah,
Too many sound things.
I know they're all sound. Yeah. All right. Sorry. Okay.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah,
it's live. We're good.
Go.
Welcome to Talking Social Studies. You are listening to episode 34, Summer Balance, for July 9th, 2019. This is the podcast where we talk about social studies in education today. You'll find conversations about strategies, resources, ideas, and more, all designed to help today's social studies teachers in their work with students. Hello, I'm Chris Hitchcock, and I teach world history for a private online high school affiliated with Indiana University. You can find me on Twitter at chitch94, and you can find our Talking Social Studies website at bit.ly/talkingss. The S's are capitalized.
Hi, everybody. I'm Scott Padway. I'm a tech coach in Pleasanton, California, and a former social studies teacher. You can find me on Twitter at Scott Padway. You can also follow the Talking Social Studies podcast on Twitter at TalkingSS.
Hi, everyone. I'm Amy Presley. I'm a history teacher at Broken Arrow High School near Tulsa, Oklahoma. You can follow me on Twitter at STLNOK. And today we are talking about finding that balance during the summer.
It's amazing that we've all gotten together over the summer.
Yeah, that's really actually an accomplishment. As much as we have this 2-week kind of goal we've had between the four of us, somebody's always got something else going on, but we seem to make it work.
It's like we couldn't pick a date far enough out, and then finally yesterday we just all happened to be voxing each other at the same time. And how about tomorrow? Okay, yeah, perfect. In the morning?
Yeah, let's make it work. Yeah, take the window when it happens.
Your insight into the extreme planning that goes into this podcast. Well, and speaking of that, I think that with people having, with the only four of us trying to find times that work for, most of us, so we have enough people to actually record an episode, that's part of that summer balance in podcasting, balance in work versus relaxation for teachers over the summer. So that's what excuse me, balance in our voices. Turning into my son here. All right. So with summer, there's always kind of this push and pull effect. We feel like we're pushing to get ready for the next school year, but we're pulled back by our need for some kind of relaxation and recharging. And we kind of had an episode earlier in the year about reflecting and recharging, kind of in preparation for summer. But we thought it would be interesting to talk about, kind of like once you're in the middle of summer, like how do you kind of deal with these opposing forces and these needs that we have professionally and personally. I'm kind of a planner by nature. I'm kind of a list maker and that type of thing. So if I had a traditional summer break still, which I really don't, not that I'm jealous or anything, I would probably sit down and make a list of like, what do I feel like I need to do over the summer in order to be ready for the start of the school year. And then I would backward plan from there because, backward planning is where it's at. So I'd have to think about like, okay, well, if I want to get these things done, when do I have to have them done by? What does that mean in terms of what I need to do each week? Keeping in mind, like, okay, for the personal stuff, are we traveling somewhere? Are we having like a little getaway or anything like that? What are my mom taxi responsibilities running people to different things over the summer? The smaller people, well, I can't even say smaller people anymore because my son has finally passed me up in height, or other things that are going on. The younger
He's very
people in
proud
the
of that, isn't he?
household. Oh, he is, like, every day for like weeks would be like, stand back to back, Mom. Dad, am I taller than her yet? No, son, you're not yet. But then he finally he's like a quarter of an inch taller than me. So yes, a big milestone has been reached. So anyway, that's where I would start with, because it's easier for me to plan that kind of stuff out. But I'd also, like, I'm almost one of those people, like, I'd almost have to plan my recharging time as well. So I didn't forget, so I don't like plow into work and not, then start the school year and just be like, oh, I'm so like done from working over the summer that I feel like I haven't had a summer. And my kids kind of help with that because they are basically like, school is like almost a forbidden word to use over the summer in our house. Like, literally they'll be like, stop, you said math. Sorry. So they've been reading, watching a lot of Netflix, attending a few little, camp types of things. And then just an example of a recharging thing, we were trying to find something to watch one day. We do have a list of like kind of movies that we were hoping to watch with them this summer. But we came across on Amazon Prime Dear Mr. Watterson, for all the Calvin and Hobbes fans out there. I think it's from 2013. So if you're a Calvin and Hobbes fanatic, you've probably seen it, but I thought it was really cute. Just about Calvin and Hobbes and how it kind of changed newspaper comics and things like that.
I bet Netflix could get some really interesting data from viewers over the summer.
Oh, that would be cool.
Wouldn't that be kind of neat to publish that and like let kids analyze trends of media consumption when school is out versus when it's in or something? I don't know.
Or even just July 4th. The crazy, you know what I mean? The release of Stranger Things, and what did that do?
Yeah.
I know it made my daughter a complete nut, but
we loved it. It took us like the weekend to watch it because we'd watch 2 or 3 and then walk away and then watch 2 or 3 more episodes. But yeah, our family's like obsessed with Stranger Things.
I'm going to out myself, and we haven't started it, but I guess that leaves something to.
Well, it's that 80s childhood thing. I'm like, oh my gosh, the detail is amazing.
Yeah, my husband and then both the kids have watched it, and they're like, "Oh, you have to watch it. You'll love it because of all the '80s stuff." And I'm just like, I don't watch things. Sorry, Peanut Gallery chiming in there.
That's awesome.
Yeah, but that would be really interesting. Talk about real world data, and then it's like, okay, how did your personal habits factor into these data?
Man. Yeah. How cool would that be?
Okay,
or even like snow days.
Just, like, climbed.
Yeah, right. Oh my gosh. See, and this is what this episode is about, right? I mean, it's trying to find that balance of here we are just talking about fun, interesting things, and then all of a sudden it's flipped, right? And it's like, well, how does this turn into an engaging lesson, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a sickness. It really is. Well, Chris, you make me feel so guilty because, guys, if you don't follow her on Twitter and other social media, I mean, she's amazing about, what her kids are reading and what she's reading and sharing. And I'm like, yeah, I'm reading trash. I have to find, and just pure entertainment because there's so much that I have to read for, professional reasons and my own education that like, I'm buried into the journals and things like that. I got to walk away and do like the opposite end of the spectrum for a little bit.
That totally makes sense.
But I do feel guilty when I'm not planning. There was a whole conversation with a bunch of teachers on social media about, the rewrite and the curriculum and what are you doing to plan? And people are kind of like panicking almost. And I'm like, you know what?
And that's for AP World History?
Yeah. Well, because there's been a complete, overhaul. I mean, like they took we're starting at 1200 instead of starting at 10,000 BCE. So that's like really throwing people. And I get that sense of like, I need to do something, but at the same time, I'm going to be useless to the kids if I'm not on like well rested and my brain's not in the, if I'm not in the right zone, it doesn't matter how much planning I did, but I do feel guilty. So I do this kind of like fits and spurts thing, big surprise, but I moved classrooms. So Chris and Scott got a little bit of an iPad.
If you could see Amy's new classroom right now, there's this great shot of Amy like sitting here podcasting with this giant "Teach Like a Pirate" flag right over her head.
And like, he's even got, I'll have to tweet it out with the Talking Social Studies, because he's even got a little St. Louis Cardinals like decal on his bandana in the middle of it.
You can't really see it that closely, so it doesn't really look like a St. Louis Cardinals bandana. I mean, maybe just kind of a red.
I see where you're going with this. But I tried to like, my kids still love to come to my classroom and do summer stuff with me. I'm going to soak it up all I can, because mom's not going to be cool for much longer. So my kids coming up with me, rehanging all my flags from East Asia and the posters, and I run LED Christmas lights and the lanterns that my East Asia kids have let me keep over the years. I hang those from the lights. So like that kind of stuff, it is time consuming, but it's kind of mindless. So it is relaxing to do. And it feels good to minimize and get stuff out of boxes and have things. So I walk in the door, it looks ready to go. Like I know that if my room looks ready, it doesn't have to actually be ready. Like you know what I'm saying? Like if I come in and I spend all my time on lesson planning, but my room is like still in boxes, my students are not going to commit to me because I don't look ready. Right. But if I have my room unpacked and it looks good, I can be a day ahead of the kids and they're not going to know any different. But I do keep a notepad where I jot down, hey, that's a really cool idea. And actually, it's not really an actual notepad. What it is it's the notes function in my cell phone, and I just have a note page that's just random things listed. But it's easy; I can access it anywhere. And then I have an email folder that's just like summer ideas in a subfolder, and I just email links and stuff to myself with a short blurb of like how real quick idea, use this during this unit, or dig into this article to go with whatever. And I just send those, and I know that they're there. And they'll be there when I need them, but I'm not going to like bust my hump trying to get something done for second semester in the middle of July. I'm not doing it. This is kind of like time for my family. So like my brother-in-law came to visit over the holiday, and I did 4 days of nothing for school or grad school. And it was like, I'm not used to this. Like I was playing solitaire. I actually had time to play a game, solitaire. And I was like, yes! But, I also know that if I can, typically there's a couple of days beginning of August where I will come into work when it's quiet and there's nobody else here, and I will just crank out for each prep the first couple of weeks. I will have it copied out. I will have it planned out. I will have Canvas set up. It won't necessarily be published live, but my learning management system, everything will be in there to where I just have to turn things on. And then that way, those first 10 days where schedules change like crazy, I should be fine. And I can use my planning time to just stay ahead. I'm one of those people who will change lessons 2 days out. So for me to plan the next 6 months is really kind of a waste of time, because I'm going to change it. I know it will. Right. I'm going to find something, and then I'm going to come in, and it's a waste of time. So, but one of the things that's going to be different for me this year is that usually my students start 2 weeks before my grad school classes start. So I have those 2 weeks to kind of get settled and ease back in to going from summer brain to working and then college brain. But I don't get that this year. It is the same week. My students start, and then I start 2 days. My first class is 2 days later.
What changed? The university schedule or your school schedule?
My school schedule. They research showed that by starting a week and a half later and not running the HVAC system, that they saved a bunch of money. Now, I don't know how true that is, because now that we're going 2 weeks longer into June, but August in Oklahoma is 110 heat index and May is not. So,
Wait, so when do you guys start now?
I want to say teachers come back like August 18th. And I think we all start, like the kids are here the 21st or something like that, 22nd.
Interesting.
Usually
we went the
we start
opposite
back
way.
earlier.
we just
I
2
like
years
starting
ago,
earlier.
we
Honestly,
moved up
yeah.
and we're back August 8th this year.
See, and I liked that because it was like, if it's that hot outside,
well, it makes a
I'm
lot of
not going
instructional
outside to
sense
play
for the
anyway.
kids. The big thing for us was that the spring break, or sorry, finals would end before winter break. You would have a clean,
Yeah.
you know,
And we're
break.
still
You'd start
doing
new
that.
classes and you
Yeah.
get more time with APs and things like that. But man, it was a big, you know, I don't know, big controversy. People like their summers.
Well, I do too, but I mean, the weather in May is much nicer than the weather in August here.
That was my theory.
Yeah.
So I would rather have the extra time in May, but whatever.
I'm like, it's
so
180 days, people. It doesn't really matter how you
it
break
really
up, so.
doesn't. And the whole reason for the school schedule is kind of outdated anyway. I mean, how many of your students are farmers? I've got a few, but not that many.
Right.
We should have a whole episode just about that.
Chris is sitting here going, yeah, I just want, you know, I just want my
Throw me a bone, people. I don't care when it is. Just give me like a month where my kids can't turn anything in. I don't have to grade anything, and I can do something else.
So yeah, that whole shift in schedule, it does have me a little anxious because I know for my family it's a huge adjustment. I mean, mom's going to be available to mom's not available. So I usually try and have like quick, easy meals. My crock pot's my best friend the first week of school. So, and my kids love, it's like this family joke. We call them comfort quesadillas, which is such a like bastardization of that name. But it's leftover pot roast and mashed potatoes. And then you put it in a tortilla and you fry it up like a quesadilla. And it's fabulous. And it's a great way to go through leftovers. And I can get 3 meals out of the one crock pot's worth of stuff and everybody's happy. So, so yeah, that first week is actually probably the first month I will probably start watching meat sales and things like that, you know, at our local grocery store probably fairly soon and kind of stock up my freezer on the things that a little at a time so that I'm not trying to do all that shopping at one point. My Midwesterner's kicking in here because I was like, you know.
Sorry to all of our vegetarian and vegan.
Yeah. No, you know, Scots, Irish, German, Midwesterner. It's like, you know, I grew up with the freezer outside for the farm edition.
Sorry. I'm sorry.
You're up, dude.
Phone call. I know. My phone just started ringing, and anyway, man, I'll just do a little editing here, and we'll just ignore if this ever happened, or not. Anyway, yeah. In the past, you know, my summers have always been really heavy on the recharging, but I think part of that whole like getting lost in travel, it involves long planes, trains, and buses, and so there's a lot of thinking, a lot of reflecting time, and despite being disconnected, it gave me time to process things. And so for my coming back to the school year, I was always very focused on like that first kind of month. How am I going to set the tone, you know, the first day, but, you know, just instructionally trying to get somewhere by the end of the month. That was, you know, what I wanted to really focus on. And so, I mean, one year I was just on a boat in Southeast Asia going down the Mekong River for 2 days, and I was listening to We Didn't Start the Fire. And all of a sudden I'm like, oh, you know, this would be a great opener instead of doing my little circle thing where we all get to know each other and do our little dance moves or whatever. Why don't we start with this? And it just kind of changed, and it evolved that year. I actually came back and revisited just that song, and we all rewrote it by the end of the school year with different, you know, sections from U.S. history. And so that was kind of always my focus. And I thought that by recharging and exploring, I would have something to do, but I'd also be kind of on this adventure looking for things that I could bring back into my class and work with students. It was just kind of always there. But man, 3 months ago. So 3 months ago, my little guy Gavin, if I didn't mention, I think I've mentioned him, I don't know before, but was born, my first little guy, and so things are a little bit different. It was a great time in terms of rolling into summer, and so my wife and I, she's also in education, which is when Chris, you were talking about, you know, that forbidden word of school over the summer. Sometimes you get two teachers, or she's actually a vice principal, in the same room, and all of a sudden, the next thing I know, half an hour goes by. Like, we got to stop this. It's the summer, you know. Yeah. So we've been enjoying our time off with this guy, and just being there to meet all of his needs. And we've been trying to adventure a little bit with him too. We've been to Yosemite twice with him. And just kind of, other like local just day trips and stuff. But I don't know how this is going to work. At the end of the month, my wife starts going back and then I'm a week behind her, and then we've got him all set up for daycare and all these things, but like all the logistics that go into that. And that's really where I'm everything else is like a roadblock. We put in some really nice PD plans at the end of the school year to do some lesson studies. And I'm kind of rolling around how we can improve that as we go through next year. But I got to tell you, like the big effective filter I've got in front of my face is like, oh my gosh. And I'm going to come home and there's going to be this child here, Wait, what if we can't leave the car seat at daycare, and like, so then how do we got to manage the cars too. And oh my God, it just all the logistics are going in, and every parent who's listening to him is like, yeah, I've been doing that for, for quite a while, but I get it now. I understand what everyone's been talking about.
You mean you can't just like grab the kid and go? No, there's this whole thing that has to come with them.
Many things.
Oh my gosh. I used to think I was tied down by my dog, at least I could leave that guy by himself for 12 hours and not worry about it. But I don't know. I guess it's just different, and for me this year, that's what I'm trying to do, is figure out how I balance professionally and personally. And then, in my role too, like just working with different teachers and working with different school sites this time of year, I always have to kind of wait a little bit because we have this major admin carousel, and, turnover in administrators and new administrators coming in and new principals and things and different district leadership, and everyone has their own ideas, that they're bringing with them. And so really trying to be respectful of that and try and work with them and offer what supports we can to help them, achieve what their goals are with their staff. I like to think, you call us in and we can help, tee you up so you can knock it out of the park. And so that's where I try and find that. But at some point when, they're still hiring people, and they just made a huge, bunch of different announcements the other week, you got to wait for the dust to settle a little bit and let these people get started. July 1st is such a big day in terms of contracts ending and new people starting and all these other things. So I usually plan about the last 2 weeks before I'm actually supposed to get back. I start reaching out and laying some groundwork, and then people are like, oh yeah, hey, maybe you can come in on, for day one, we can start something here. So that's my summer. It's just kind of a different thing, but it really becomes about relationships and just getting people to open the doors up so you can come help them just really perfect the craft of teaching.
That's cool. I'm looking forward to hearing more about like the lesson planning or lesson study.
Yeah, I mean it's a 3-day professional development series. So we're planning on pulling people by departments in their teams, which will be super cool. And it'll involve some different classroom observations and things. It's kind of we got to modify it to work, but the idea is that you'll be done within 3 days, within 2 or 3 weeks, and with your team of people. So we'll see how it all goes. We had some really successful math ones last year, but I'm just social studies. Unfortunately, this year isn't going to be part of the cohorts, just because we're going through a history adoption, which brings up a whole nother thing. Because what a great way to do a history adoption, to do some lesson studies over some of the new curriculum and stuff as a group. But I think baby steps.
Yeah, that's right. And that's maybe a good way to think about summer balance too, baby steps. And it's one of the great things about teaching is, you get to do it again each year, but it's also the same thing about summer. It's like, if you didn't find the right balance this summer or last summer, you get to try it again.
Yeah. And it's such a human profession, and, there's so much that happens to people from year to year, and it's just not always going to be the same. But you have that opportunity. And, I think one of the beauties is always looking at that first day of school is like, okay, it's a brand new start. And unless you're teaching a semester class, and even if you teach a semester class, it's not really the same. Here everybody comes in after getting that downtime, hopefully to do some recharging. And
I teach. Yeah. I mean, I'll have one section that's a year-long class, and the other 4 sections will be semester courses. And it's very different starting the group I start in August and the group I start in January.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm always in awe of those teachers who are out there working summer school. I couldn't imagine. I couldn't imagine coming back to a year after, just you have to have that time to recharge. In fact, I think what they should do for summer school is they should give everyone a vacation afterwards. Like, you teach summer school, you should get like a stipend week somewhere.
I like that.
Or maybe a gift card to the local liquor store. I don't know. You might need to edit that one out.
Yeah, I think that there would be some problems funding that, but I don't know why you couldn't have just like find a place an hour away from everybody.
Everybody just meet me on buy-in. Yeah.
Here's your here's your week-long retreat.
Yeah, remember that career goal number 1? Never be that teacher on the news. So that would work so well.
Power recharge. Yeah, right.
Well, we would love to hear from you if you want to share out your summer recharging and the work that you're doing to get ready for school. You can share that with us on our Twitter feed at TalkinSS. And then also, we're kind of looking for some historical quotes. We're thinking about mixing up our intro, changing up our intro for the podcast. And we were thinking that we'd like to have some quotes in there, maybe, that represent different areas or time periods in history. So if you have a favorite historical quote, tweet it at us.
Heck
yeah, we're just looking to mix it up, and we kind of have what's on there because that's what was started with, and that's where we are. So we want some new ideas on that intro. So let's give us your best audio historical quote. Well, we don't need the audio. We'll find the audio, but
yeah, I mean, I'm excited. I'll get some good stuff. All right, folks. Well, speaking of summer and recharging, I need to go get a gremlin from the dojo.
Awesome. Well, we should be back in your feed in close to 2 weeks with a new episode focused on addressing current issues with a special guest from Facing History and ourselves. And if you have topic ideas or historical quotes or sharing what you're doing this summer, tweet them out to us at TalkinSS.
See you next time.
See you later.
We also should add some outro music.
Yeah, we really should. Well, we could pull quotes for both ends.
Yeah.
And the chair finally squeaked.
Amy's like balancing on her toes the whole time.
Don't shift. Yeah.